I have officially 100%ed Super Mario Bros. Wonder and saw everything that you could possibly see within this game, and after playing the entire game, I was thoroughly impressed by all the level design, the intricate Wonder events, and everything in between, from the music to the little animation details of the characters. This game is everything that I expected and wanted it to be, except for one part. And we've talked about this before, but actually getting my hands on the game, I got to feel that pain for myself. And after playing the game, I have noticed something was definitely missing. And one of my only complaints of this entire game is going to be the boss battles. Yes, I think it's time to have a dedicated talk about the boss battles, or the lack thereof. So of course, before we get started, yes, spoilers, we're talking about the bosses in this game, including the final boss, so if you don't want to watch that, definitely don't tune into this video. But real quick before we get started as well, stop what you're doing, leave a like and subscribe. A lot of you watching this right now are not yet subscribed. Let's see how many people we can get to subscribe from this one video, and if you agree with me, let me know by subbing. But let's jump into the video. Mario Wonder's boss battles are relatively simple, and they keep them simple by using the same character over and over again. In fact, we see Bowser Jr. as the main boss throughout the entirety of the game, and the only other boss battle we see is Bowser at the very end. Now, there are some extra things that some people are calling bosses that happen during Wonder events, like the King Boo chase or the giant spike statue in the background, but those to me are more Wonder events than bosses, but sure. Before I dive into the boss battles, I want to talk about the fact that 2 of the worlds don't even have boss battles, which is very strange. You get to the very end of the world and just like, oh, here's your royal seed, which was a little strange to me. Now, the one in Shining Falls, it says that you have to do some trials, which are completing regular levels in the world. It's not like you're going out of your way to do anything special, and there's no like final big crazy trial that makes it worth it. You just kind of do some levels, get to the end, here's your royal seed, which to me should have ended with some type of giant boss battle or something, especially in this really cool themed area based on like these ruins underground. And the same thing goes for Fungi Mines, where you have to turn into a Wubba and kind of just go through a 10-second maze, which is not even a maze, just going up and around the wall in order to free some poplins. That's it. And then boom, there's your royal seed. As you can see, the problem with these is it's just not that special. It doesn't give you that last second reward. After doing all these crazy transformations and things within the levels of that world, you expect something to top it all off, like the cherry on top of that world, in order to finish it off and grant that royal seed, and you never get that satisfaction of something super special to end the world. Also very strange that we had to revisit these places in order to open up the special world, which is just like, why would somebody want to go back to a Poplin house, and why would somebody even think about doing that in order to open that level? And the same thing for Fungi Mines, where you have to replay that stage again where you rescue the Poplins because there's more down there, I guess, and that opens up the special world, which is strange. Let's jump into the 4 worlds that actually do have boss battles with Bowser Jr., and the first one being Pipe Rock Plateau, the first world of the game. It's the same premise every single time. Bowser Jr. tries to attack you, you dodge his attack, and then you hit him, an incredibly easy attack, and then he transforms into his Wonder version, which then allows something wacky to happen with the stage. With the first one, he actually makes you big and him small, and then him big and then you small, and you have to find ways to dodge him as you're giant, and then you have to attack him when you're small, which is actually a pretty cool concept. Also considering the fact that you get the mini Mario effect as you get a little bit of zero grav, and it's kind of fun to run around and bounce around as small Mario. So this one actually wasn't terrible. I'm not going to say this one was that bad at all. It was actually something new that we haven't seen before, and I'm glad that they incorporated an items ability from the past games, being the mini mushroom, into a boss battle like this. In the very next world, Fluff Puff Peaks, it's no better. It actually reminds me of the exact same Larry boss fight from New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And if you remember correctly, that was the very first boss of that game, which is not great. It tries to change it up with like ice platforms and then like sticky honey platforms, but they don't do that much to really change anything. It's still the same boss battle, and the only difference is Bowser Jr. now swims in it, which in my opinion makes it even easier for you to hit him because he just sticks his head out and you don't even have to chase him that far. Then in the Sun-Baked Dunes, you have a underwater battle against him for some reason, because that makes sense. A desert themed world, you have an underwater boss battle, and once again, this battle is extremely easy, and it just kind of switches the water from the ceiling to the floor, and it's very reminiscent of the windy boss battle from New Super Mario Bros. Wii. So once again, this boss battle just feeling like another Koopaling boss battle, but with Bowser Jr. And then with the fourth and final Bowser Jr. boss fight in Deep Magma Bog, it's actually kind of unique. It gives you the silhouette effect, and you can also move the platforms by standing on the left and right eyes of them, and you have to track down Bowser Jr. and hit him. And then eventually he has some clones appear, and he can fly around the stage, you know, shoot his shell up vertically and stuff, so you have to watch out for both of them and try to take out the real one, which isn't terrible. The old fake clone trick has been done time and time again in games like Mario 3D World with Pom Pom, but it's still a really interesting fight compared to the rest, so I can't give it that much hate. But those are literally all the boss battles in the game. And I know a lot of people will say it's not a big deal because the game doesn't focus on boss battles, but a 2D Mario should. I don't think there's any excuse as to why they couldn't incorporate some fun boss battles. It makes me more upset that we have all of these crazy wonder events in the game, and this is how they use them. Just some weird stage moving mechanics, and nothing to really change our character or Bowser Jr. that much. It would have been really cool to see him transform into a spike ball, or us too, and we had to maneuver around the stage in order to hit him a specific way. I don't think the problem is Bowser Jr. per se, but I think it's just the way that they used him. They could have transformed him into tons of wacky, crazy different things, but instead, it was the same Wonder transformation where he turned blue, and yeah, that was about it. And no, I don't feel like it's a game that didn't need boss battles, because I still always felt like there was something missing at the end of every world, especially those two worlds that didn't have any boss battles at all. I always wanted a little something to end the world on, something to leave off, and something to remember it with. And that's something that the past 2D Mario games even did. I mean, literally every single 2D Mario game had boss battles in every single world, not to mention they had mid-stage bosses as well, which were tower bosses. And this is where you would see Bowser Jr. or Boom Boom, which was a pretty cool way to throw in a little easy boss halfway through the world, where that's kind of not a thing here. I would have liked to see these Bowser Jr. fights, but as tower bosses, as mid-stage bosses, and then hyped us up for something big at the end, like the bosses we've seen in New Super Mario Bros. DS. For crying out loud, I missed the Koopalings. I would have liked to see the Koopalings here and had their take on the Wonder Flower, and had weird things happen with their Wonder Flower events. Like, I've already been thinking of some ideas, and I want to make videos on what the boss battles could have looked like, and yeah, I'll be adding like Koopalings into Mario Wonder and stuff like that. I got some really good ideas, and it's funny because I'm just sitting here making this video right now and thinking of ideas that they could do, and that's just in a span of a couple of minutes of me just sitting here and brainstorming. Like, I know Nintendo could have done it, and it just makes me even more upset that there was an interview with the devs and they stated that boss battles was one of their big and primary focus this time around. Like, was that just a straight up lie? Because there's no way it was. Let's talk about the final boss, being Bowser himself, and it's a head and hands boss, which is something that we've seen a lot before. But the final castle and lead up to this boss was really cool. It was like a mix of tons of different Wonder events, which really felt like a great ending. And then we obviously have the Bowser fight itself, which actually isn't bad either. It's actually pretty good. You have to time your jumps according to the beat in order to jump up in the air and hit his hands, and then eventually hit the switch where his head is. But that's just the thing, you don't really need to hit his hands at all, which makes this not that difficult whatsoever. All you have to do is just keep hitting his head as much as you can. And then eventually the floor tiles will change, and then it will be alternate beats that you have to jump on the right time in order to hit his head. But overall, it's still fun. At least you're attacking Bowser. At least it's not just running to the end and hitting a switch. At least you have to attack him to hit the switch. Is it as good as it could have been? No, but it definitely was fun, and I was at least glad to see one really good boss battle in this game. But I kept feeling like this was a really good boss battle, but should have been a boss that we fought earlier on in the game. This shouldn't have been a final boss, because I felt like we should have had like a giant Wonder mix like you did with the actual castle stage, where you're going through different Wonder events. But imagine if we had to go through these Wonder events, but also use that Wonder event to hurt Bowser in each segment. Would have been amazing. Let me give you an example of how this would have worked. Maybe there's one where he's a giant spiked ball and he's rolling at you, and then you have to wait until his head rolls around and jump on his head at the right part. Maybe you have to ride the dragon and then at the right time jump off the dragon in order to jump on his head. You have to dodge the fireballs and the piranha plants that he shoots at you by climbing the poles and getting to the top in order to jump on his head. Or floating through a space area, dodging his attacks and making it to the other side of the screen where you can then jump on his head. There's so much they could have done here, and this isn't even including some of the transformational ones. Like you could turn into a Goomba, maybe you had to secretly make your way to Bowser by hiding in the bushes, dodging his attacks, or turning into the spiked ball, rolling and jumping into his head, or then eventually transforming into a Wubba and climbing through up the walls and then jumping on his head or something like that. Just having segments like that that incorporated the Wonder events would have been amazing. They did it with the actual level. I wish they kind of done it with the boss battle as well. Once again, I could sit here and make a whole long list of all the things that they could have done with the boss battles, but those are for separate videos. But my point is, I really wish they would have spent more time with the bosses. They spent unlimited amounts of time with this game and had no date as to when to get done. There was no end to the project. They could seriously work on it for as long as they wanted to. There was no crunch, nothing like that. No pressure to get this game out ahead of time. They should have really took the time with the bosses the way they did with the individual stages. Now, a lot of people actually say that this doesn't really take away many points of the game, but personally, it did for me. This game could have possibly been a 10 if it was just a tad bit harder, a little longer, and potentially better boss battles. That's all it would take, but mostly the boss battles is what had me bring it down to lower level, maybe even an 8.5 or a 9. And that's just because I felt like the levels didn't end with a bang. And that's what I really wanted to see, is these worlds, and especially the end of the game, end with more of a bang. So hopefully the future of 2D Mario isn't less boss battles, or even no boss battles at all, but instead more ambitious ones, more boss battles to push what the game actually incorporated, with the brand new mechanic of the Wonder event that should have been incorporated into more boss battles in bigger and grander ways. I also found it hilarious that Kamek is actually in the game and his only role is to bring in 3 airships but not have a designated boss battle, and also the fact that Bowser turns into that giant floating fortress, yet you don't fight him as the fortress, which would have been really cool if we had like one special transformation at the end to fight his giant floating clown car castle in the air. Instead, you just fought like a little floating castle head thing that wasn't even what he was in the beginning. Also, the piranha plants that he made around him and even the cloud ones did nothing. Yeah, also, I would like to see Bowser Jr. have at least one more fight before he went out, when he just knocked himself out with the Bowser fist, and then Kamek followed him, and then we never seen them again, which is very weird too. So definitely let me know what you thought of these boss battles. Did you think they were good? Did you think they were boring? Did you have fun with them? Did you not have fun? What would you like to see changed? Let me know down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. Also, feel free to drop brand new boss battle ideas if you have any, especially ones including wonder effects. That would be really cool, and I would be sure to check those out. But make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out, and I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.